Coming up, we're going to go over a whole lot of Universal news, including, that just screwed me up, including the latest on Harry Potter, a celebration of Harry Potter. Wow, that really took me for a wild leap. The opening date for Race Through New York, starring Jimmy Fallon, Aventura Hotel, and then, of course, return time tickets, the virtual line experience. So I need to take a break from talking for a second. So live from the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Universal edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is episode 113 of the Universal edition of the Diz Unplugged. The Diz Unplugged, the Universal edition, is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Universal vacation. Please visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. I am your tongue-tied host, Craig Williams, and today I am joined alongside by Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
And then back on the controls, not screwing anything up so far.
Not yet.
Mr. Oliver Green.
Hello. It's still early though. There's time. There's still time. So
right now I'm just screwing up my speech, which is pretty typical of me.
Well, we all can't be perfect on the same day, so thank you for taking this one today, Craig.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm always happy to do so. Wow, we have a jam-packed episode for you. I didn't think that there was going to be that much. I know a lot of you might have tuned into the Disney World edition of the Diz Unplugged earlier this week and potentially heard that we were going to be talking about Shrek 4D. Like anyone actually cares about that. But we are going to have to just completely scrap that away until potentially next week, maybe even longer than that, because we just have way too much to go over. And because of that, I don't want to risk going way too far over an hour. So I'm going to, I think we're going to just kick it off by going straight into the news, shall we?
We
Kick
shall.
it.
Let's kick it. We were listening to a ton of Beastie Boys before we were starting today. So, sorry, I was. So if you feel me like over emotional and hyped up, just blame it on that. So let's go ahead and jump into it. A celebration of Harry Potter 2017, shall we?
We shall.
So I know Rhino is very excited about this one. We finally have the full list of celebrities that will be attending this event.
Tons of them.
Yes, we already knew that good old Warwick Davis was going to be there, along with Matthew Lewis, who plays Neville Longbottom. And we now also know that Jason Isaacs will be joining along. So if you are only familiar...
Like Neville Longbottom.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
doesn't he in this photo?
Yeah.
In this, if you're watching,
Wait there.
and Neville's in the middle.
I'm going to try and pull the same face, then cut to me, so we'll see if it's the same, right?
Those are like the same your
it's
Instagram.
actually not too far off.
Every time you post a
Hey.
photo on Instagram, it's always...
Now,
He
can we
was
talk
also-
about the person that people actually care about? Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs.
Perfect. So, yes,
Very
if you're only familiar with the world of Harry Potter, you know him as Lucius Malfoy.
Lucius.
And if you are familiar with the world of cinema beyond just Harry Potter, then I'm sure you know him from a lot more. Particularly, as I was saying when we first found out about this news, I am very excited to ask him questions about the movie Patriot. The Patriot, to be particular with that. So, I think it's a huge grab. As far as I can remember, I don't believe I've ever seen him before at an event now. They're all just starting to blend together. The list of celebrities that I've seen at a celebration of Harry Potter.
Don't you remember that TV show he's a part of, the one that came here? It had something to do...
He could have easily even...
It was like, not last year, it was like the year before. And it was... oh my goodness. I can't remember. I don't even remember what it was called.
Yeah.
I remember like a shot of it, and I remember they were coming here. It was probably like when I had first started, pretty early on, and I thought they came and shot some of the show here.
Wow.
I know. It's
Great
terrible.
story.
Case
Good.
histories? No.
Good. Very excited about this story.
So Dig was the name of the show.
Dig. Oh, yeah. That was the one that they made into an escape room, right?
What?
In Universal Studios.
I didn't know there were.
It was the
escape
USA
rooms.
show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dig. Yeah, they turned it into a limited time escape room. They built one right in Universal.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's
I never
what
got to do
for.
it.
Yeah.
But no, I think this is a huge person to get. Again, I don't remember. He may have been here in the past. I didn't really attend many of the events last year, so I can't tell you if he was here last year. He might have been at the grand opening of Diagon Alley, but Helena Bonham Carter was there along with Robbie Coltrane and Donald Gleason, and all of those were just going to trump Jason Isaacs in my book. But now this year, since there's only 3 celebrities attending, I am definitely excited to get the chance to hear him speak. I feel like he would be very stoic in his expressions. And along with that, we also know pretty much what's going to be happening with the full schedule of events, including the Harry Potter Expo being open each day starting at 9 a.m. From Friday to January 27th to January 29th. Some of the highlights include and please be good with me on this one. I'm just going to bounce around. Like we know the combat skills with Paul Harris, the wand combat ones are going to be back on the Music Plaza stage on Saturday and Sunday. Warwick Davis is going to be doing a talk about the creature effects on Saturday and Sunday as well. Mina Lima will be back Saturday and Sunday. They're going to do 2 Q&As on Saturday, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. There's going to be an opening night event, obviously, on Friday at night. And then on Saturday, they have evening tribute at the Music Plaza stage from 6:45 to 7:45. Not quite sure what all of that will be, but it looks like they've got a pretty packed lineup full of events. And the one thing that I think is disappointing is we now basically have confirmation. Absolutely nothing to do with Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
I know I don't. Maybe because they're gearing up. Those have I guess they're not a shorter production time than the Harry Potter movies. But were Harry Potter movies ever in production while the Harry Potter weekend was going on?
No.
Or did they start that after?
No, it started after.
Okay, because this is the first series that's in production while they're doing this, and I know it's every 2 years they're aiming for these movies to come out. Which a Harry Potter movie came out every year and a half, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, I still haven't seen the movie out of my hatred, of course, for Eddie Redmayne. We don't need to go over that one more time on this show. But it's disappointing for people out there. This was a chance to bring something new into this weekend event. It's the 4th one. It's kind of been just a repeat of the same thing every year. That would have definitely freshened it up a little bit more. But hey, you get what you get. So the one good part is Rhino and I will be there covering this event.
I'm going to wear this shirt.
You can't see it. Now you can see it. It says, my Patronus is a corgi for all of those who are listening, because I just realized that they can't read magic. Listen, I don't know what I'm even trying to say. So, yes, definitely stay tuned to hear our coverage from that weekend in just a couple of weeks. Again, very exciting. Oliver, as a British person, we are not involving British person. We are not involving him in any of it. He needs to just stay away from it. He'll get homesick. He'll want to leave.
No, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm completely fine with this because it upsets me immensely when I walk around and I hear Americans try their hardest to do English accents. So, I'm more than happy to stay far away.
What do you think? All the people that are going to come there are going to do British accents while they're there?
Yeah, I think I'm going to hear a lot of Wingardium Leviosa, and just weird hybrid accents.
All right, governor.
Oh, Craig.
I don't know what you're talking about. People do lovely British accents.
I think we just do fine. Yes, sir, we do.
You're crazy, gobstopper fool.
What was that last one?
Combined Willy Wonka candy into an insult. The everlasting gobstopper fool.
All right. I believe that was British Matthew McConaughey.
I knew what it was.
I think so. I believe it brilliant. So,
what a great day to put that camera in there.
That is that. So, our next story that we are not going to talk about, I know someone eventually was going to say something in chat, maybe not. We potentially might know the dates for Halloween Horror Nights. that were sent out through a very confidential survey that asked you to not distribute any information about the survey, this, that, and the other.
Sent a public survey that they didn't want people to talk about with other people.
It specifically said in the survey, do not do not distribute anything from this point on. It was asking you to be nicely, or asking you to not do it nicely. So we are not going to talk about it. If you want to find out more information about that, Google is your friend, Facebook, anything. But we are not going to be talking about that. What we are going to be talking about is a possible opening date for Universal's Aventura Hotel.
Aventura Hotel.
Aventura.
Aventura Hotel.
Aventura.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
Are you just trying to... Was that... See, this is it. Was that meant to be an English accent?
No, I think that was Australian.
That's a whole
in the
different...
kangaroos, mate.
Oi, oi.
Does this hurt your ears?
This hurts my heart.
We're going to do a whole show in these accents.
Good.
These are the worst pies in London.
You sound like...
Not even correct tune.
Not to, we'll get back on topic in a second, but you sound like a
House elf.
No, when kids try and put on a play.
Okay, too long about now.
There we go.
We're done. We're done. So, Aventura Hotel, Orlando Sentinel is reporting that the projected date for opening could be July 1st, 2018. And this comes because of STR. It's an American company that tracks data for the global hotel industry. This has nothing to do with Universal Orlando putting out information on the hotel. It just comes from this site that I guess tracks data amongst hotels, and usually they're being told this information about when new hotels are going to open up, all the details surrounding that. So honestly, it kind of makes sense with the way Universal can get stuff up quickly, considering that this hotel is only going to be 600 rooms and it's not going to be that big. It's on a very small plot of land. Once construction is finished on Volcano Bay here in the next 6 months or so, they'll be able to put every foot forward into moving construction across the street for Aventura. So I think it's pretty possible that we'll see it. And of course, Sapphire Falls, it opened up in 2016. I believe it was July 14th, the day that we checked in. When Cabana Bay opened up, it kind of staggered, but it had its grand opening in the summer. So Universal really likes opening up their hotels in the summer, from everything I could see. So I think it's a pretty solid date on there. I'm excited for this hotel still. It's going to be big. It's going to be glassy. And it's going to have a rooftop bar.
That is what I am the most excited about. That rooftop bar sounds awesome.
Craft cocktails.
We'll get ourselves some lovely beverages up there. I can't do it anymore. Yeah, I can't wait. Rooftop bar.
Rooftop bar.
That's exciting.
Rooftop bar.
The rooftop bars down in downtown Orlando are nice. So it'll be nice to have one that's kind of like this side of town, where maybe we can see some of the cool theme park stuff.
It will be very pretty from up there, I'm assuming, just looking at its location.
Yeah. So. It'll be on the same height as the top of Krakatoa over at Volcano Bay. So
that makes sense.
I like it. I think that's very neato bajito. And that's what I'm saying it.
That's what the cookie crumbles.
That's how the cookie crumbles. Okay. So apologize, I'm going through my whole list of all the stories. Did we? Oh, okay. If anyone cares.
Episode over.
No. Here's the next. Does anyone care? Scenarios, and this could lead to a grander discussion in that. Butterbeer, every type of butterbeer now at Universal Orlando, $6.99.
What's your favorite?
I've been very open and honest. My favorite is and will always be cold butterbeer.
I like the frozen or the hot. The hot's probably my favorite, though.
If I've never tried the hot. If I could get just a cup of the white stuff that's on top, I would love that. That would go down a treat.
Yeah, I know that. So obviously the prices have been going all over the place now for quite a bit of time. Back in 2010 when it opened, prices were absurdly cheap, with cold butterbeer being $2.99, frozen being $3.99, and hot butterbeer not even existing at that point in time. So it has come a long way, and the prices have been staggered. And while the frozen butterbeer, I can definitely understand that being $6.99. I genuinely don't think that's a bad price point for it. I know it doesn't come with the souvenir mug, but it's a specialty beverage that it's a decent size too.
Do you know how much? I'm trying to do a compare with Disney. Do you know how much the LeFou's Brew is?
I know, but I can look it up instantly.
Steve and I got one the other day, and I want to say it's comparable in price. I think, but that one might be in the $4 to $5 range.
Yeah, these are all from 2015 without like digging deep, just doing a quick Google search.
Yeah.
Back in 2015, LeFou's Brew was still like $4.99. I'm sure it's gone up in price a little bit still. Yeah. But LeFou's Brew is nothing more than just frozen apple juice.
Right, and this is like a complicated drink,
Yeah, no, this is
a little more involved.
This is a specialty beverage that people lose their mind over. That they, the first thing they want to do when they get into the Wizarding World of Harry Potter isn't run around to go to the attractions. They finally want butterbeer.
It's official.
They want that
it's
drink.
Authentic. Yeah. It's what you got to get. I mean, it's the must-have, must-do thing. Like the number one thing in the Harry Potter world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when I first started getting it, the prices were still cheaper, and I bought it. I still go in on my own sometimes and just randomly get a cold butter beer. And I the price is steep. I think the problem that now increasing all the price. Well, first off, sorry, get myself in line here. I think $6.99 for hot butter beer is butter beer is ridiculously absurd. It's nothing more than almost hot chocolate.
I do think that's a bit much for the hot one. Yeah, the other two, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll still pay that. Like you said.
Unless you're going to serve the hot butter beer in like a venti Starbucks cup for $6.99, that's not worth it. Frozen, definitely worth it. Cold, it's really close. I think sticking at like a $5.99 price point on the cold and being like solid on that, I think that would have been a better one. I think the main thing though it's going to do is it's going to detract those people, those families that heard about it and they wanted to try it, but they're just not quite sure whether or not they're willing to make the investment now. It's one thing when it was cheaper when it was cheaper, it was a no-brainer saying, okay, well, we've never had butterbeer before. We don't know which one we want. So as a family, maybe we'll split a frozen one and then we can see if we want more. Now at $5, that's not bad. At $4, it's an absolute steal. But at $7, that's a lot for one drink that you're not sure if anyone's going to like.
True.
So I think for repeat visitors, now I probably will buy it even less than I did before. I might get one like once every 6 months or so.
Or if you bring somebody like new.
Yeah.
I usually, that's when I find that I'm getting it is that like you're enjoying the beverage with them,
Yeah, no, exactly. But I don't think it'll be, for me going into a Universal park, I always have to get a specialty beer, whether it's the Hog's Head or the Wizard's Brew or Duff Beer in Springfield. I always do. The price is at $9 a beer there. It's really not that bad. I feel like I'm actually getting my money's worth for it. But now I'll probably just be more likely to pay the couple extra dollars and always get that beer instead of one time saying, yeah, you know what, I kind of want butterbeer. But, it makes them a ton of money. The reason why Universal is able to continue to build all of these new amazing areas and lands is because people are dishing out money for butterbeer left and right. And when you sell millions and millions and millions of them,
I want to know,
it's just going to...
I want them to release a statistic of, like, since it's opened, the equivalent of, like, pounds or, like, volume of butterbeer that has been dispersed into the world. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's enough to fill whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts to think that back in January of 2011 is when they sold the 1 millionth butterbeer. So now that they have
what year was that? I'm sorry.
2011.
Oh, wow. When did it open?
It opened in June of 2010. So in
it did
6
not
months.
take very long.
I can't even imagine what number of butterbeers they're up to now, especially since it's in Hollywood as well as Japan. Like it's everywhere. So and it's just easy money for Universal. And it's delicious. And I love it. But so I'm sorry if that affects people out there. Now you know. Save up a couple extra pennies. Get yourself a butterbeer. Okay.
Get a butterbeer.
Get a butterbeer.
Got a butterbeer.
Oliver, did I have anything else on that list? I really don't remember anymore.
No, I think you've covered it all from what I can remember. You feel like you forgot something, don't you?
I feel like I forgot something, and it's kind of bugging me, and that's why I was doing one of my classic Craig stalling for time.
Classic Craig.
Yeah, that's me. Classic Craig. I'm looking through. I don't see any of it. Oh, yeah, I'll get into that later. I guess that's it. That's everything.
That's it. That's a show. See
And
everybody
I promise,
later.
I am prepared. I have everything out in
looking
front of
at
me that I
notes
wanted
right
to
now.
talk about.
I think I know what. It's because there's something coming at that we moved to the end of
Yes.
the show, and that's what Craig's remembering now.
No, it's not that.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, let's go on to the final big news item that I wanted to cover today. And that, of course, is news that came out last week after we were done recording our show while I was asleep in bed like most normal people. And if I was awake, I would have been watching Kimmel or Conan, the only good nighttime talk show host. But of course, I'm talking about Jimmy Fallon, and that we now have an opening date for Race Through New York starring
Hashtag the panda.
Jimmy Fallon and hashtag the panda, hashtag Fallon ride. We all know it. We all hear it. Oliver will never be able to live it down, but we now have that opening date for it, and it is April 6th. 2017.
Mark your calendars.
Yes, and along with this
wife,
this
how'd you
grand
kids?
opening, we are also going to have a bunch of Tonight shows being filmed at Universal Orlando again. So it will be taping from April 3rd through April 6th. So you don't have a list of the celebrities yet, obviously.
Where do they
besides
tape those
Jimmy
when they
Fallon?
do
They taped it in Soundstage. I can't think of the number of the soundstage. It was the one that they used to have Grinchmas in.
Oh, okay. So it's a free, he's probably getting a bigger sized crowd than he normally has.
I've never been to the Tonight Show stage in New York to see what size it is, but
Well, if
yeah,
it's the size of like the Kimmel one, it's only fits like 200 people at the most.
yeah, I would assume it's much larger, but and then it was cool because like when he was here last time, it was, gosh, I can't remember what event it coincided with, but they did all the musical acts on the Universal Music Plaza stage.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, like, the night that I went there, I didn't get into any of his tapings, unfortunately. As much as I dislike him and I dislike the show, I still would love to see a taping. I mean, that's something, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's unique.
it's always fun to do that.
It's something fun to do, but I did get to see him come on stage to introduce Jimmy Buffett and hear Jimmy Buffett play a couple songs, which was
That's cool.
Which was really neat. And the boom camera came over me a couple times, or crane camera, sorry. And that was a cool time. So there's always that opportunity if you want to see him there too. I'm sure they'll do the same. But we know he's going to be there, and it's going to be pretty neat. Still not excited for the attraction, but hey.
Really? I wasn't initially, and then the more I keep going and visiting the park and I'm seeing the facade go up outside, I'm getting more and more exciting because that facade alone, they have done an excellent job with. It's starting to look absolutely brilliant. I know that you and I were in there just yesterday.
Yeah.
And they're starting to clear stuff away now, so you can see the outside. They're still working on the inside, but it's looking awesome. It's looking like the building that it's meant to represent in New York. So yeah, I think they're doing a fantastic job. So I just hope the inside attraction lives up to the outside facade.
Yeah, no, I do love the facade. I think it all looks very brilliant. In my opinion, it fits in with the area very, very well. I genuinely do enjoy that. I still don't know enough about the attraction. There's a lot of questions. They haven't still released a lot of the details. We know the basic premise of it, of what's going to happen on the attraction. We don't know like height requirements. We don't know what type of ride vehicles they're going to be. Jimmy Fallon describes it as a type of, he went on Ellen and he basically said, "Oh, I rode Soarin', so I'm the one who pitched Universal. We should do a Soarin' type style ride
I
with
remember
me."
this. And they were like, no.
And they said no, and then obviously the Tonight Show's more and more successful. And I think when he first pitched it, it was when he was still doing Late Night, actually. And
Yeah, it was on the other show.
Then they finally come back to him, and they ask him to be a part of the attraction and to finally do it. But we don't know if it is going to be a Soarin' style ride or if it's just going to be another large theater simulator not quite sure. One of my friends told me the name of the ride manufacturer that was behind it. I didn't write it down, so I can't even like go and see if they have blueprint schematics to what it is. I just don't. I don't know anything really. That's what I'm trying to say. I failed everyone so much, and
Nice
I
job,
apologize
Craig.
for that. But hey, well, I'll find out about it soon enough. I think it's gonna. Personally, I think it's going to soft open way sooner than the grand opening date. From everything I'm being told, they are cycling the ride almost every day.
Oh, really?
And,
Wow, I didn't know it was at that point.
Yeah, there is, I believe some Universal employees are getting the chance to experience it, management level and higher, just to kind of watch how it's going. And originally there was reports that it was going to be open, soft opening by the end of January or early February. So I'm thinking maybe like a March time frame. If you think about Kong
Opening.
for official
yeah.
soft opening, not the official grand opening, the official soft opening. Because think about it, Kong opened about a month before we had the actual grand opening of it. So I think they're going to want to get the kinks out of it, make sure all the team members are knowledgeable of really what they need to do and how they need to handle guests before Jimmy Fallon comes with the grand opening. And, there's a reason why they're going to want to make sure all the kinks are ironed out. And that's partly because we also got the announcement that Fallon will be using solely the virtual line experience, which is what we are going to spend pretty much the rest of the show talking about now.
Yay.
Yay! So,
Yeah.
so virtual line experience. We have been talking about that here and there for the past little bit. The first real time that we got into it, the nitty gritty, the details, was all the way back when we talked about the Tapu wearables that would be going along with Volcano Bay and how they would be using this virtual line experience, as they call it. And there's been a lot of questions about it ever since. What is it? Sounds like Fast Pass. Is it Fast Pass? Just what is going on in general? And I feel like we are finally starting to get a really good idea of it, and that is because they've been testing it at several places. So I believe the first place it actually started testing at was Pteranodon Flyers and Camp Jurassic at Jurassic Park. If anyone's ever gone back there and noticed or pays attention to wait times on Universal's app, Pteranodon Flyers always has one of the longest waits in the park.
Really?
It's a very slow loading system. Obviously, every ride vehicle that goes out only fits 2 people. So, there, that's bad. And the ride's not that long, but it's just all of those items put together. The fact that it's an attraction that kids can actually, they get to take one adult on the ride with them. Like it's an experience for them. A lot of kids want to do it and then put it in a playground, and they actually see it even more. It just all adds up together. And because of that, it's just always dealt with terrible, terrible waits. So Universal and they put together the system where you go to Pteranodon Flyers and you can get a time to come back, and you will have a shortened wait like Fast Pass, except the difference is you don't have that standby with it. It's literally just you get your time to come back, and that is your time to be in line. And then shortly after that, I believe, I'm looking in like the November timeframe, that's when it starts rolling out for tests over at Shrek 4D that went all the way up until January of this year, just a couple weeks ago. And now they have started it this week at Despicable Me Minion Mayhem. And we're not just talking out of our butts here, people. We actually have a little bit of experience with this, because now you haven't been with us for any of it, because you're not with us on Wednesdays for the most part anymore. I'm sorry, but you're going to get to hear all about it and ask lots of questions.
Yay.
It's going to be fun. But Oliver and I are now experts at the virtual line system, or return time tickets, whatever you want to call it right now. We know all about it. We know somewhat about it. And we will try to explain the whole system, answer any questions. So this is where, if you are following along with us in chat, go ahead and be free. Feel free to throw us any questions as we go along with it. Don't want to skip anything involving it. Oh gosh, I've been talking a long time. I don't have any water. This was a lack of planning on my part.
So
should have did it.
Are all the attractions going to adopt this then? Is that what you're trying to tell me by having it at now like 3 of them?
I don't know. It's hard to say right now. I think at the minute we've been seeing it at other attractions just because we know that Jimmy Fallon, the Jimmy Fallon Fallon ride,
Fallon.
that attraction's getting it. So right now I'm making the assumption that it's for training purposes. They're just getting people ready so they know how to use it for opening day.
Does it involve extra equipment?
You mean physical?
No, right?
What do you mean
Yes.
when you...
Okay, so
Be
Like
more
a pen and
specific.
paper doesn't count.
no. Okay, here we go. So I've now had a chance to get liquids back into my mouth and
Your own spit.
my own spit, and I'm a little bit. Shut up, guys! Come on.
I'm laughing just because of how you just
Yeah,
my
baby.
own spit.
My own spit. Okay, so here's the deal. Gosh, I forgot what I was going to say now because you pulled me off on the tangent.
What
of the-
extra equipment is involved?
Well, I'll start one step back behind that. Is this going to roll out to all attractions? I don't believe it ever will. I think it could definitely be utilized for busy attractions, very popular attractions that you're used to seeing.
Rip Ride Rocket. And
Exactly. Attractions you're used to seeing hour-long waits involved with. This is something that could potentially even help with the disaster that Halloween Horror Nights houses.
That's true.
oh, that would
could
be
be.
great.
And I think it does. It just from what we saw with Despicable Me, there was it went well for the most part. Shrek is a bit of a question, but there was 2 different methods involved when we went and did this. So we'll just go over it. So a couple weeks ago when we did Shrek. We started the experience. There was 2 ways you could do it. Right beside Shrek, you mentioned equipment.
Mm-hmm.
They set up these computers basically alongside the wall. Back then, it's hard to see in this photo. I didn't really want to be a creep and like walk all the way down and take a good photo of these computer setups. So I chose to stand far away. Apologize. So before they just had these little like basically tablets sitting out there that they could then print out a return time for you. Mm-hmm. Now they actually built these into the wall, which leads me to believe that they're going to be running this test for a decent amount of time, if not longer, if not permanent for something like Despicable Me. But essentially, you are directed to go up to the computers. Everyone's standing Gosh, golly, I forgot I'm talking about Shrek. I'm not even talking about Despicable Me at this point in time.
No, it's the same.
I'm just all over the place. So yeah, you have that option of going to the computer kiosk and doing that, or in the Universal Orlando official app that you can download. If you go to an attraction page that is offering that, it will have if you see on there under tickets, you will see virtual line pass, and then a little arrow that you can press to reserve your time. And then once you reserve, you put how many people are in your party, and then you can choose a time that you want to come back and experience the attraction.
And it's free.
Absolutely free, 100% free. Because what they have done is they eliminated the standby line. So the only way to experience the time is by actually getting a pass to do that. So you no longer can just enter in at your own time. You have to go to the kiosk, get your ticket to return, and then once you get that, you come back between the return windows. And they, like everything, they will have a grace period that they choose at their own will to let people come back in and out. If you're a little bit early, they're going to be okay with it. If you're a little bit late, they're going to be okay with it. Just, if you have a good excuse, for the most part.
What I will
Try
say,
to
though,
use it,
is
but-
the windows are tighter than other systems we see, such as FastPass.
Yes, it's only a 30-minute window. And here's the reason why I say that the whole grace period with it has to be for a good reason. And that's because in both of the 2 tests that we've done so far, you basically have your own choice at what time you want to go throughout the entire day. So like when Oliver and I got ours for Despicable Me, basically we could get it for about an hour from the time that we are going to book it throughout the entire rest of the day. There was never a window that we couldn't get times wise. And the same goes for when we did Shrek. There was a window that filled every single minute that the park was open throughout the rest of the day. Maybe during peak periods, these return times will start to close up a lot faster, and it'll be a little bit harder to get your ideal time. But I don't think a grace period will be all that necessary because it's not like Fast Pass where you go, by the next time you're trying to go get your Fast Pass, oh well, it's at that time, and I was going to go eat then, and that kind of screws everything up. It's not like this. You have way more control with this of when you want to experience the attraction. So grace period might be there. Don't worry about it. With Shrek, as I said, no standby line. This was very interesting. So the one thing, even though there is no standby line, they still take Express for any attraction that does have Express. So, for example, with Shrek, there was only 2 ways to get into the ride if you wanted to go on it. You had to either have your your return time ticket, and it had to be in your window, or you had Express. At Shrek, everyone just piled together in this same line, and I'm not sure if that kind of changed. I think when they first started the test, they did try it with a standby, and then they had return times, and then Express, all different lines. I'm just giving you our experience. We were all piled together. So in my opinion on this one, it was kind of a disservice to people who had Express because they were essentially just getting shoved straight into the standby line. Granted, because of the return time ticket, the standby line, I think we only waited maybe 10 or 11 minutes.
It was not long
outside before we were inside for the pre-show. So I think that's fair enough. We essentially waited through there was a whole group in doing their pre-show. As soon as they moved into the main theater, then we got to go inside. I think that's completely fair in terms of a standby line or with the return time tickets. So, a little bit different though across the street. When we did it with Shrek, I thought it was good, but it didn't. The whole system didn't blow me away. Am I wrong about that, Oliver?
No, I agree. It was, it worked. It just didn't. I don't know. It seemed to. I feel like it was a bit more smoother with Despicable Me. Maybe that's because they had time to practice with the other attractions. They're getting close to that date where they're going to have to use it. So maybe the team members, I don't know, they're working out the kinks with that. But it worked with Shrek. It just didn't seem as smooth, I'd say, as when we went on Despicable Me.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't think it's necessary at an attraction like Shrek. I know Shrek can get somewhat busy, especially on very busy days. But yesterday when we went, I think Shrek had a 15-minute wait just throughout the entire day while we were there. And to me, that's not bad. If an attraction starts bordering over that 30-minute wait, that's when you might want to start looking at how you're going to adjust it. But 15 minutes, 20 minutes, not that bad. So Despicable Me, when the ride first started opening up in the morning, you could get your tickets for basically starting right as soon as the park opened. And it was essentially using the return time tickets. It was a walk-on the entire morning. But there was a difference in that the express line and the standby line were completely split up. So this, I think, was a more practical system for how to handle everything. So I think we finally booked our tickets around 10 o'clock for a time to come back at 10:55 to 11:30. Yep. We showed up at 11. By that point, Express finally started to build a little bit of a line as well as the standby line. And I was starting to get nervous because there wasn't like hour-long wait. Clearly, if you've ever been standing outside of Despicable Me with a really long line, like 75 minutes, 90 minutes, you see how just jam-packed it is. Yeah. This didn't look that bad, but I was still worried it was going to be like 30 minutes. And then ended up just, I guess, the amount they distribute, they've been working on this, so they kind of have an idea of what the general capacity that the ride can hit, how often express people come to try to get on, and with all the tickets, they put all that together. We ended up only waiting in line about, I think it was 18 minutes.
Yeah.
To get on using this return time ticket. So I guess, for me,
that was at which one? I'm sorry.
This was at Despicable Me.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And for me, that's
that ride always has 90-minute wait. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. It felt good because it's like, okay, well, I had to walk around for an hour finding something to do so I could come back and then wait 20 minutes. But in that hour, I went and rode Gringotts, single rider. I made a loop all around the park. I actually did a lot in that time period. So I probably could have gotten in 3 attractions in the time that I was waiting to go on Despicable Me. So in that regard, it actually worked out successfully. How do you feel, Oliver?
Yeah, it definitely did work completely for me as well. I managed to get a lot of work done in that time period. I'm looking forward to this system. I really am. I would say they have worked out that threshold very well. I'd say 20 minutes is the maximum I would ever want to wait with the whole return ticket idea. If you were waiting any more than 20 minutes, I think you'd be pushing it a little bit. I think asking someone to take when people are so conditioned to get into standby lines and just wait the attraction time, it is going to be hard for people to get in this new mindset of going to get a return time ticket, spending time, elsewhere in the park and then coming back to then wait. As long as they keep it around that 20-minute mark and don't go over it, I don't think you're going to get much pushback from people. To be completely honest, I think that's completely acceptable, especially for us, because we know that at the time of the day that we actually rode that attraction, if they didn't have this return ticket system, we would have easily been pushing way over 60 minutes.
I agree.
So it's definitely got a value. It seems to be working well. You've got to remember as well that this attraction is different than Shrek. And at the time they were testing Shrek, it was a lot busier. Yep. They've started redoing the return ticket times on Despicable Me, which is a completely different game, at a much quieter time of year. I'll be very, very interested to see how this system would work at a busier time of year, because you're going to have the more express people, the more just higher capacity in the park. And it may end up pushing even the return time ticket line up, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the loopholes, the issues that we could see with it. Well, you just brought up one. What happens when it is busier? How will that affect it? Well, I said it earlier. I'll say it again. I think return time tickets are going to start running out, especially for those peak times of day. Yep. You're going to see it where you can't book them. So how does Universal fix this? Well, what it's going to happen, I believe it did happen for Shrek, maybe Despicable Me already, and I know it happens for Pteranodon. If they run out of return time tickets, they just say come back in the last hour that the park's open, and then you are able to join the standby line that's now open, and you are able to experience the attraction and however long it takes. So the return time, and I'm sure that's how it's going to work with Fallon as well, too, because, eventually towards the end of the day, everything starts to open up. It's kind of like first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. You can really jump in first thing in the morning, and if you go to an attraction 5 minutes before it closes, chances are you're just going to walk right on. And they need to have that window for people who missed that to still have an opportunity to do the attraction.
Just asking as well, I think I asked you this on the day and you gave me the answer, but I just want to double check. Am I right in thinking that even though you can use the Universal Phone application, the smartphone application to book the return time ticket, you have to be in the park in order to do that? Yeah. So that's definitely going to help. So obviously when we're talking about return time tickets, you can't help but compare that to, Disney's FastPass system, but Disney's FastPass Plus system it's a completely different animal. People can book in advance. This is going to help stagger the crowds, because if it knows you're not in the park and you can't book that ticket, it will certainly help with that. So I'm hoping, to answer my own question, that even on busier days, it's still going to be a successful system. I might be wrong, but I think that will certainly, help towards that.
Yeah. Another big question with it is, well, how many can you actually hold at once?
Yeah.
Yesterday, when we did Shrek, we booked through our phones. We had the option of going to the tablets or the phones. We chose our phone. I could only book for there's four of us there. I could book 4 at the time we wanted. Technically, everyone in our group could have also booked it on their phones as well too. There's no linking. So technically we could have cheated the system in that way.
Like ridden over and over
and
again.
ridden over and over and over again. Who wants to do that with Shrek? Beats the living crap out of me. And then the same thing essentially could have happened with Despicable Me. When we went, they weren't doing phone testing. I was able to get screenshots on my phone, but then they took that off, and you could only go to the kiosks for yesterday's test. And with that, they didn't ask for our tickets, anything. We just walked up, said how many was in our group. We could have easily, I could have walked up by myself and got it, and then Oliver could have walked up. If you have a big group, you could have just literally kept doing that over and over again. It did look like, though, on the computer they had set up that there was something that could scan your ticket, so they knew. But again, it's not all linked together, so I don't know unless each individual person would have to scan saying this is my ticket linked to that pass. I'm losing track of what I'm saying. I think you all
I know what
get
you're
it.
saying. The system is at the minute, the way the system is, and it's just for testing. It's very easy to manipulate it. Saying that, I'm just going to throw something out there now. If the system stays the way it is right now, I think we will see it at attractions that don't necessarily have as much of a re-rideability. Just looking at where they're putting where they're testing these currently, they're testing them at theatre attractions. So Shrek doesn't, to me personally, and I'm assuming to a lot of other people, does not have a huge re-rideability. Neither does Despicable Me. And even although it's going to be a new attraction, Jimmy Fallon's ride is essentially, if we're going with the assumption that it's similar to Soarin', it's a theatre attraction. So I don't think, and again, just speculation, I don't think you're going to see this on your roller coasters. You won't see it on Rip Ride Rocket. You won't see it on the Mummy.
Maybe like Terminator?
Exactly. You'll see it on Terminator. It maybe even go as far as to see it on the Kong attraction, because that's more theatre-like. It takes a lot of people through. That's just my theory, though, looking at what they're doing now. So I think this, and that would work well, because let's compare it for a second to, Disney's FastPass system. We know that it's ruined some of the attractions there because it overloads it. So if they can actually fine tune that and go, you know what, it works at this one, doesn't work at that one, that could be great. That could be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think of an attraction like Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. I don't believe this system would be utilized well on it for multiple reasons. Forbidden Journey, Gringotts, they are so technologically advanced, they break down a lot. That's going to start skewing numbers. B, Forbidden Journey, the capacity, you can hit 2,056 people on it in an hour. If you have a perfect hour, everything goes right, all vehicles are on. But that can also change wildly throughout the day. If a vehicle has to go off, if someone throws up all over a vehicle and it takes a long time for it to get clean, that's going to start screwing up the numbers. So it could really mess with it, where you could start to develop a really long standby line by complete accident just because you gave out too many return time tickets. Where, as Oliver said, these theater type attractions that basically have to run on the schedule. They don't get a lot of wiggle time in terms of getting people in, sat down, and having to go. Like they have to be right on the mark with it. I think it could definitely work out a lot better at those. There are still just a lot of questions that go along with it. Like the fact is that when we first walked up to Despicable Me, like I said, there wasn't anyone really going in express. Maybe an express person here and there. People who had return time tickets for that first window. There was maybe 5 people going in every couple minutes. Yeah. So they had to be running the attraction with basically no capacity the entire time. But you still couldn't walk in standby. Mm-hmm. They just, because they were trying, they're trying to work the system how it's supposed to be. So that's another thing too. Maybe it would be good to let people book in advance. Like if they're outside the gates at 8 a.m., start being able to book those first ones for when you come in. But there are a lot of questions to it. I love the system though. I think it could definitely be revolutionary. is, and I know a lot of people want to compare it to Fast Pass. It's not. This is what, if Fast Pass, it's what I think Disney wants Fast Pass to work as. Eventually, they want it to get to the point where you can book out every attraction you're going to do throughout the day, and that's just what you have. That's why they've added it to attractions like Pirates and, all these rides that once you could just walk on, but now those ultimately get planned into your day. What Disney is trying to do, I think Universal is already there too in trying to perfect the system before they can. I think it is, we still have to see it work on Fallon, a ride that will probably have, between 60 to 90-minute waits every day because it's a new attraction and people do love him. Don't understand why, but it's got promise. Got a lot of promise.
I agree. I really do. I know you say as well that you don't want to, and I don't either, you don't want to compare it to Disney's Fast Pass system, but you can't help to because it's, so similar. I would say this one is more similar to Disneyland's legacy Fast Pass system rather than the one that we see here at Disney World. And personally, even though I've only, visited them once, I felt that worked an awful lot better for that park. And I think that kind of system where you have to be there on the day would work so much better for Universal. I think that's what we're seeing. Yeah. I hope that's what we're seeing. To be completely honest. So I think right now it's got an awful lot of potential. It seems to be working very well. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes and how it develops, especially when you said about the Halloween Horror Nights stuff, because that's where we really see some, humongous lines. So it would be absolutely awesome to see if they could roll out something like this there. I look forward to that.
No, I do. So that is our experience dealing with the virtual line, return time tickets, whatever we want to call it right now. Just to recap, you have to book a time window. There is no standby line. You don't get in a standby line. Maybe you will after a certain point in the day. They'll open it up to everyone, but you have to book a time, and that will be the time you come back. If you have Express and the attraction takes Express, you will be able to just jump in the line whenever you want still. But something like Jimmy Fallon, when that opens, I think that's going to be just solely only wait time tickets. They're not going to have Express for it when it opens up, similar to Gringotts, Forbidden Journey. Kong still.
That's nice though, because it gives everyone the ability to experience it.
It's a fair chance, and that's what I love about Universal. When their new attractions open up, they give everyone an equal chance. If you didn't plan right, that's on you. That's why we're out here to try to help you plan a little bit. But but there you go. So. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of information. That was a lot of me talking. I'm done talking. I'm just flat out done. But before we go, we'll finally go over our last little bit of our housekeeping at the end, which I guess would be called end keeping. It's where.
But house doesn't mean front.
Should we call it? Should we call it wrapping up the loose ends? Should we wrap up the loose ends? What should we call it?
Yeah, let's. I'm trying to think of something like, because it's at the end of the show, like the rear keeping instead of the housekeeping.
Wow. Well, okay. First off, we want to thank everyone.
We've got some rear keeping for you guys.
We got some good keeping. So we want to thank everyone for watching and listening, obviously. And if you listened to our review of Confisco Grill last week, you will know that... we had a lot of fun with that episode, especially whenever it came to Al Pacino, jalapenos and jalapenos all mixed together.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to start making this a regular thing. All you Disney Universal fans out there, you need to start sending us fan art, because we got 2 instances of fan art this past week, and I'm loving both of them.
Can you remember the names? Because I'm searching for it now, and I can't remember.
Oliver, that was literally your one job.
No, mine
to
was
write down the names.
Pull the artwork for them.
And write down the names.
Well, Rhino sent me one. Can you remember who sent the first one in, Rhino? The email. Yeah.
Okay.
Al Pacino
you
one.
take care of the email one. I'll take care of the Facebook one.
Okay, and I will go ahead and start to showcase these to everyone.
Well,
these will be in the show notes, of course, too.
Yes, we will. We'll make sure we put them there as well. So after my little story, just to give everyone that maybe didn't catch up last last week's show, I had a friend in the United Kingdom that's mother always used to pronounce jalapenos incorrectly. She used to pronounce it either jalapeno, which obviously sounds like Al Pacino, or jalapeno. It was just never, ever right. So have you found out who sent in the first one, Rhino?
Mike Thornton sent the bread
Mike Thornton. Okay, so Mike, did he include his age? I feel like, when on Kids Show, when they send their artwork in, you say their age and location.
Mike Thornton, 58? Like, why
Mike Thornton, 58.
No, he's not 58.
I know, I'm just guessing.
Oh, what if he's like 24? Now I feel bad.
Okay, Mike Thornton, 18 years of age, sent in this. Look at that. That is absolutely fantastic.
And for those of you who are listening, it is a recreated poster of Scarface, but instead of holding a gun, Al Pacino is holding challah bread, and it's titled "Jalapeno, Say Hello to My Little Bread."
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's classic. And then another good one.
It made my day.
Did it?
God, that's a Robert De Niro quote.
Well, in that, hey, that will go along with our next one, which was sent in on Facebook by Stephen McPhail. That's an interesting last name.
Hey, he didn't Stephen McPhail at
I hope I'm saying that wrong. Stephen McPhail. We'll say Stephen. I don't know. It looks like McPhail, which is pretty awesome. But
your pronunciation here is a huge.
He, instead of going with challah bread, which was also very popular last week, he went straight on with the jalapenos and alapacinos, and he made that one, which is. Can you maximize it on your screen? Zoom in. Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. So for everyone who's listening, it says jalapenos with the J being a jalapeno, and a photo of Al Pacino's face on the jalapeno, on the cheese Louise on the jalapeno. And the catchphrase of jalapenos is "Say hello to my little portions," which is also lovely. And then the little tagline line on the bottom says, "Not to be confused with Mucho De Niro in Disney Springs."
Oh my God, I didn't even see that on that one. Oh, yeah. That one's great.
So
Jalapeno's the Tex-Mex Al Pacino restaurant.
Those really made our days when we saw them coming in. So thank you guys for sending those in. If anyone ever wants to make any sort of ridiculous thing, memes, whatever, that go along with stupid crap that we say on this show by accident, go ahead and send them in on Facebook, email podcast@DisUnplugged, just anywhere. We want to see what you can do with our just butcherings of the English language and ridiculous movie stuff that we do. We're weird people in general, but thank you guys. And again, thank you to everyone out there. We really appreciate you watching and listening. It means a lot to us. For more information on everything talked about on today's show, please visit disunplugged.com. That's the home of our show notes page, as well as all the other shows on the Dis Unplugged podcast network. Again, as always, make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social medias that we have, and that you're subscribed to us on YouTube, as well as iTunes, and you're leaving that feedback. We love seeing it, even when it infuriates us, and we just want to throw our computers against the wall. We still appreciate every comment that comes in. Every bit of criticism, whether good or bad, is criticism that we still enjoy. So thank you again, guys. Thank you. And shoot, we forgot. No, okay. Again, I've said it before. We promise we will get to resolutions just when we can do it and add it on part of the show. So we will not leave January without doing resolutions. I promise. But today we got to go. So we will be back with you next week for another episode of the Dis Unplugged Universal Edition. Until then, I'm sorry, Al Pacino's Universal.